This podcast is brought to you by iPlayHockey.ca. iPlay is the leading hockey insurance provider to coaches, camp instructors, spring and summer hockey leagues, and tournaments across Canada. If you need insurance for hockey, iPlay has you covered. iPlay also provides hockey players and coaches with a wide range of free tools, drills, and skills in their drill vault to enhance on-ice performance, and they provide crucial off-ice knowledge as well. So if you need insurance for a hockey team, league, or camp, or if you just want to teach your kids some new drills, head on over to iPlayHockey.ca and check out their new website.
Happy Canadian Thanksgiving, everybody, and welcome to episode 250, nice number, of the Boys in the Booth podcast. Cody and Melbourne with you for this one. Abrams has some Thanksgiving commitments, but we wish him all the best and wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving once again as well. This will be a quickie. We're just going to go into some bold predictions for this 25-26 NHL season that is underway. The pressure is on for a lot of teams already right off the hop, so we're going to get into that. But first, Core 4 stories. Here we go.
Core 4.
Core 4.
Core 4.
Core 4.
Core 4.
Core 4.
Core 4 is
Core 4.
Core 4.
It's your favorite segment that we start every podcast with, Core 4 stories. And Chad, we got to start with the big one that came out news-wise a couple of hours before we started here, maybe even less than that. Lane Hutson re-ups with the Montreal Canadiens. It's an 8-year deal. $8.85 million is the AAV. Once again, Kent Hughes masterclass, man. I think getting this guy under $9 million a year for the next 8 years, boy, oh boy, that's going to look good.
Yeah, what an unbelievable deal. Like there have been rumblings over the past few weeks, from all of the insiders saying this negotiation is not in a good spot, like indicating that these two parties were very far away. By all accounts, Hutson's camp was starting in the double digits at a number over 10, and the Habs just weren't getting there. It seemed like long-term security was at the forefront for both sides here, and that's what ended up happening with an 8-year deal. But I can't believe they got him at the number that they did, because you look at some of the deals that were just signed, right? Like Kaprizov at $17 million, that might go down as the biggest outlier. Maybe, we all thought that might be the new, might set the stage for the new cap era, but I don't know. Maybe that'll just turn out being an outlier after McDavid's 12.5 and Eichel's 13.5 and Kyle Connor's 12 times 8. So I don't know, but I was just totally shocked that they got Lane Hutson for the next 8 years at that number, less than Jackson Lacombe, less than Luke Hughes's new deal, right? So like these are just like, those are the comparables, and he comes in at less for the next 8 years, and all of a sudden, with the cap going up, the Habs have their core locked up, really. They've got 6 guys under contract, and the next one is Demidov, I guess, long-term.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and, he's making less than his teammate, Noah Dobson, who's making 9.5 and is now the highest paid Montreal Canadian. But you're right, Hughes and Gorton, hell of a job they've done there. That core is locked up. It's a team on the rise, and boy, oh boy, this deal is just going to look better and better by the day and just be an absolute bargain, as we say sometimes with some of these contracts.
That's right. And last thing on this, did you see the interview that Lane Hutson's dad did a couple weeks ago, or maybe last week? I think a couple weeks ago now.
Yeah, what did he say again?
Well, so this is like at the height of the tense negotiations, right? And he's in a car, he's on some radio show. I don't remember exactly whose show he was on, but he's doing an interview. It's a 45-minute interview, like full length. He's talking about all his kids. And, obviously this is before Lane Hutson signed. And he made a comment, something like, well, my boys are Canadian too. And Lane wasn't invited to the U.S. Olympic camp. And, like some good players in the past have not been invited to camp and have gone and played for another country. He mentioned Brett Hull in the interview. So
yeah, I remember that.
So it took that to get the deal done. And then this is the number that it comes in at. Like, so unnecessary for Lane Hutson's dad to go on national TV or wherever this interview was played. I mean, it was played all over, Instagram and TikTok and whatever, but it took that, and this is the number. Like, to me, that was just crazy.
Well, and we've seen that time and time again. Like, you go back to McTavish with Anaheim, that really dragged on for a lot longer than any of us had anticipated. And then it comes in at 7 times 6, and it's like, all right,
what was the holdup?
That makes a lot of sense. What was the holdup? And then this deal, it's like, oh my gosh, like, apparently just the negotiations really emotional, really tense. Everybody had to take a time out, and this is the deal that we get. It's just fascinating every time.
Yeah, so odd.
Yeah. All right, item number 2 here, and this is certainly a less positive one, but we have to talk about Josh Norris of the Buffalo Sabres. Man, oh man, you just feel awful for this guy. Out 8 weeks, Elliot Friedman is reporting with an upper body injury. Again, you just feel absolutely awful for him with his injury history, and had a great looking preseason, and off of a face-off just goes down, doesn't finish the game, and boy, oh boy, just a really, really tough look for the Sabres and for a guy who is a great player, but just can't stay healthy.
Yeah, sorry, Harp. I lost you for a quick sec there. I was getting a call, but on Josh Norris, like, we were talking about this briefly, like, when it happened. I mean, the guy has played 4 games for the Sabres and has only finished 2 of them. And when we were talking about the season previews, like, that was a huge thing that I mentioned when talking about the Sabres. I said, maybe Josh Norris will be healthy for them this year. That will be a key. And yeah, wow, it took a game. And the play, like, you saw the play, obviously, the face-off play.
Yeah.
There's no contact. Like, there was no contact from the opposing player. He just kind of went down awkwardly trying to snap back a draw. His shoulder looked like it dropped. And it's like, God, the Sabres, like, even when they made that deal, everyone was saying that, yeah, sure, Josh Norris may be the better player right now, than Dylan Cousins. But as we said last week, the best ability is availability. And if this guy is not healthy, he's never healthy. They knew that when they traded for him. And at a certain point, the Sabres are going to be complaining about injuries and, unfortunately, we can't just stay healthy. But with a deal like that, you kind of did it to yourself because you knew the history, and clearly the right checks weren't done. The right checks and balances weren't in place to double check to make sure that this guy could play clearly, because he's out once again. It's crazy.
Well, and like, you can go and watch the Sabres Embedded episode around last year's trade deadline when they made the deal to get Norris out of Ottawa. And, Kevin Adams is seen talking to, his circle. And it's like, yeah, just talk to, the head doctor or whatever, who I believe works for the Buffalo Bills too. And in that clip, you see that he's like, yep, just talk to him. Forget what his name is, of course, excuse me. But yeah, 100% comfortable, and that sort of thing. And this is where we're at. And, all of a sudden you're down that guy. And then it's either like you're moving Thompson back into the middle, or you're relying on a young player still in Yuri Kulik to take another step, to have those tough matchups. And again, with all of these other injuries, boy, oh boy, things are starting to look really thin in this Buffalo lineup already. And man, like, was there any other team that could not afford to get off to a start like this? Like, I can't think of anyone.
We were talking off air, like, before we fired up this episode, and you were saying it's 2 games in, but it feels like the season's over. And Yeah, I mean, it's not good, like
And
to put it
and
bluntly.
and and again, Chad, like this is, it's still a long season. There's 80 games left, absolutely, but with how long it's been there, with no playoffs and no success, and just how hard it's been, like there's not a lot of patience to kind of wait things out and wait for things to get better. We Saber fans have been waiting for that and have seen this movie before for the last 14 years. And also, as Elliot Friedman mentioned too, like this is a kind of feels like a make or break sort of season. Like Dowling and Thompson, their two cornerstones came out at the beginning of the year and said like it has to get better this year. Like we have to see improvement,
Yeah.
and so anyway, you don't like to overreact after only a couple of games, but man, oh man, it's hard not to be down in the dumps already a little bit here. But it's a long
Yeah.
season. I guess we'll see what happens.
Got to look at the positives. Long season. Here's a negative though. They're the only team in the league who has only scored one goal through 2 games. I sent you that post where it's like the rest of the league in a circle, and it's like, have you scored more than one goal this season? And it's like, yes, of course. We've played multiple games, and the Sabres
like
have
there's
one
just
goal.
I know, like there's just so many.
Okay,
Oh, you
enough
can't help it.
Sabres talk. I'm
Yeah.
sick of it.
Anyway,
Here.
we are all right. Item number 3 here for Core 4 stories. Matthew Schaefer, Chad, becomes the second youngest defenseman in NHL history to score his first goal. It was against Washington a couple of days ago. I think he played 26 minutes in that game too, and how can you not love this kid? An absolute stud. Hard to believe he only played 17 games last year, and he was still the number 1 pick. Goes to the Islanders, and just the whole backstory about losing his mom and then his billet mom in the same year, and then to see him having some early success here. God, you can't help but love this kid.
Yeah, of course. And did you watch the goal? I'm sure you saw a clip of the goal.
Oh, it was a disaster in front of the Washington cage, and
Carnage.
yeah, ends up
Total
going in.
carnage.
But hey, a goal's a goal, and he was
Yeah,
pretty
but-
excited after that. So God,
But I had to chuckle. I saw it. He flies in from the point. There's about 8 bodies in the crease, including the goalie. He flies in from the point. He kind of like dives and jams it home. That's what everyone's trying to do in the situation. And then he flies towards the blue line after that, and Selly's like, nail Yakupov in game 52 of the regular season in his rookie year.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was awesome. I love seeing young guys with a little bit of personality. And of course there's, the whole thing, as you mentioned, with his mother and his billet mom. And so we had some nice comments about that after the game, talking about his goal, saying they're looking down on me and whatnot. But then also just to have a new fresh face in the league who just loves playing hockey and scoring goals. It's amazing. And I think the stat was most minutes played by an 18-year-old in a game or something. It was something to that effect, over 25 minutes. And the last guy to do it was Sid.
Wow.
So, yeah, I forget exactly. I could probably look it up, but it's not that important. But
God,
impressive.
Only a couple of games in, and young Matthew Schaefer is already breaking records. And no, it's quite something to see. That kid is very impressive. And all right, item number 4 here for Core 4 stories, Chad. Kind of a theme that we saw here in opening week. How many teams just laid an egg in their home openers? Buffalo, you can go back to them with that, unfortunately. Detroit got booed off the ice. John Gibson was pulled, and, sorry to bring them up. They did beat the Leafs on the weekend, as you know. St. Louis got booed off the ice. They had a rough home opener. Like, all these teams that just came out on home ice. The Rangers against Pittsburgh as well. You could go back to that one too. My goodness, like right off the hop, just so many of these teams at home that just completely, dogged it and wasn't a good result at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you listened to the most recent episode of 32 Thoughts where
Yeah.
Elliot said, if he were running a team, he would have not very many rules, but one of his rules would be you can't have a stinker on opening night. And I was
No.
listening to that and I was thinking, yeah, easier said than done, Elliot. I don't think it's about effort. I think some teams are just good and you get surprised, and maybe the emotions play a factor on opening night and the lights are too bright. But yeah, anyways, a team like Detroit, they get booed off the ice. Their new star goalie gets, shelled. He lets in 4 or 5, like had a terrible night. Forget exactly what it was. And then it's like, of course they're going to come in and beat the Leafs up and down the ice. Like that's how it works. Like, you can't, like, don't blow teams out, right? Like we always say that in the playoffs. And it's not necessarily because it's personal. It's just because these guys are professional athletes and their egos can't take it. And I'm saying that in a positive way. Like when an NHL team gets blown out, it's easy money, on the money line next game to say that they're going to win. So that's kind of just how it works. But yeah, it was a bit of a theme opening night. It's kind of crazy.
No, definitely, for sure. All right, that is Core 4 Stories for episode 250. And now let's get into some bold predictions. Chad, this is always fun to do every season after we get a couple of games in as well. And it's that, time of year where everybody overreacts or underreacts, however you want to put it. But bold predictions here. I know you've got a couple. So let's hear one here right off the bat. BetterHelp is the paid partner of this video. The new year is a blank space for you to write a new story. BetterHelp makes it more convenient to get you started. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy more comfortable and convenient. They carefully make sure therapists on the platform are well qualified and their customer support team is there to help you if you have any questions. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform you can trust. Your next chapter starts today. Get 10% off your first month of BetterHelp online therapy at betterhelp.com/boysinthebooth in paid partnership with BetterHelp.
Okay, yeah, I do have a couple. I've got my main one, and then I have 2 sort of honorable mentions.
Sure. I've just got one myself.
Okay, great. So we'll go to me, we'll go back to you, and I'll give my honorable mentions at the end.
Sure.
I really like these episodes. They're a lot of fun for me because it kind of forces you to take a bit of a swing with a prediction and find some of the evidence to back it up. Now, I don't know if this is the biggest swing that I've ever taken in a bold predictions episode. I actually think the biggest swing I've ever taken in one of these episodes was when I predicted that Austin Matthews would score more than 67 goals in a season, which he did that year. He scored 69, and that was unheard of and crazy. I don't remember exactly what I predicted last year, but it might have been production from another one of the Leafs players. And I'm going to kind of stick on a similar vein here because that's kind of what I know. I feel like I know, even if these predictions are slightly bold, I feel like I can sort of back it up because obviously this is the team that I watch the most and I have sort of a pulse on them. And so here we go. My prediction this year, my bold prediction, is that Austin Matthews will score more points than Mitch Marner. Not talking goals, talking points.
Ooh.
It's bold.
It is
because
bold.
It's only happened twice throughout their entire careers. It happened once in 21-22 when Matthews scored 60 goals, 46 assists for 106 points, and Marner had 35, 62 for 97. It happened the second time in 2023-24 when Matthews had 69, 38 for 107, and Marner had just 85 points in a shortened season because he was injured, just 69 games played. So you'll notice a theme between those 2 seasons when Matthews had more points than Marner. Those are his 2 highest goal scoring seasons of his career. That is the crux of this argument. That is why I think Austin will have more points than Mitch this year. Not because Mitch is bad, but I think Austin is going to go off this year and score goals. Here's why I think that's going to be the case. The offense will run through Matthews this year. There's no Marner riding shotgun. It's going to be Matty Nyes. It's going to be Nylander, Tavares on their own line. The power play, it's all going to go through Austin. There's no Marner quarterbacking. Riley's not going to, snag up those points. It's basically just going to be Austin, and I think that's going to be really helpful for his production. Last season was the worst of Matthews' career. He only scored 33 goals, and that's literally the lowest goal total he's ever had, and that includes his rookie year where he scored 40 and the shortened season of 56 games where he scored 41 in 52 games. So like that's, last year with 33, it was abundantly clear that something wasn't right. He was clearly injured. No one knows exactly what it was, why he was injured. People suspect it was his back, but no one really knows, right? We know that he's dealt with shoulder issues and wrist issues, but he flew to Germany last year mid-season and he missed a ton of games, and he wasn't shooting the same way, and that's sort of all contributed to his lack of production. The biggest telltale sign for me and a lot of other Leaf fans last year was, sort of like I just said, the shot. He didn't really use it, and it seemed like he was just passing way more. He was getting garbage goals. He wasn't the same threat from distance that he has been in the past. Since entering the league in 2016, nobody, and I mean nobody, not even Alex Ovechkin, has more goals than Austin Matthews, right? This is the best goal scorer in the league, and last year he only scored 33. That is going to go up. He's going to be healthier this year. He's going to be using that shot. I already saw it in the game against Detroit. He ripped one quick off the stick, the signature Matthews shot where he kind of curls and drags, fires, hit the bar behind the goaltender, Talbot, and unfortunately didn't go in. But so encouraging to see that shot because we haven't in a while, especially all last season. Did not see that shot. It wasn't a threat. And here are some stats, Harp. So I need you to stay with me a little bit on this one.
All
so last year, Matthews led the NHL in expected goals, right? And he had the 10th most shots on net. He was 11th in goals for below expected. And what that means is that Money Puck's model expected an average player who doesn't necessarily have Matthews' scoring ability, expected an average player to have scored at least 8 more goals last season, given the chances that Matthews had, right? Still following?
Yeah.
Okay. However, when adjusting for shooting talent, because that's what Money Puck's model does, thinks that Matthews specifically, because he's been historically one of the best shooters in the NHL, when adjusting for shooting talent, Money Puck says that he should have scored about 18 more goals last season, and they rank him number 1 in goals below shooting talent. So 18 plus 33, and then add in, the puck is going to be on his stick more. He's going to be, carrying the puck. The offense is going to go through him a lot more than it did last year. Those are the reasons why I think Matthews will have more points than Mitch Marner, because he's going to score a crap ton of goals this year. I don't know if I would predict more than 67. I don't know if he gets to 70, but I think somewhere in the 55 to 60 range is not crazy. And if he does that, then he just needs maybe 45, 50 assists, and he's probably right in and around Marner's production at about 100 points. I don't think Marner is going to tail off that much, even though, I might be kind of a salty Leafs hater, but I saw a couple nights ago, Marner to Eichel to Stone, back to Eichel, and it's like, okay, these guys have already figured it out. Like they're passing the puck, they're moving it. Like Marner he's going to fit like a glove on that team. But I do think Marner is going to have to score more. to maintain his, 100-point pace. He had 102 last year. His career high in goals is, I believe, 35. I do think he's going to have to shoot more and score more if he's going to maintain that 100-point pace, because nobody on the Vegas Golden Knights, despite how much they score and how they score down the lineup, no one on that Golden Knights team shoots it like Austin. So that's my prediction, Harp. Austin Matthews, the best goal scorer in the world, will have more points than one of the best assist men in the NHL. What do you think?
Hey man, I get it. It's a bold prediction. That's the whole point of this. Gosh, though, it's tough not to give the edge to Mitch in Vegas with his running mate that he has in Jack Eichel. And but you're right. It's mostly going to be Mitch just feeding Jack for one-timers or quick shot or whatever it is. So I think if Mitch can get into that, at least have 30 goals, let's say, then he should be right around that 100-point mark. And for Matthews, I guess we'll just have to see, man. I don't know. Like, I think the one argument I would sort of make is that he is going to be checked harder this season because he will be the guy driving the play. And, Matthew Knies is a terrific hockey player, but Knies can only do so much, right? I mean, he's there to help create time and space and that sort of thing. And he's a great player to play with Austin, but he's not Mitch Marner. And but I do agree. I think that Matthews gets back to at least 45 goals this season, you would have to think, and could certainly see him surpassing that. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. I think right now the early returns would suggest that you'd have to give the edge to Marner with his new teammates in Vegas, but I like it. It's bold. I do like it for sure.
Yeah. Well, like I said, just to sort of reiterate, the most encouraging point from my perspective and why I picked this as my bold prediction is just the shot, man. Like last year, 33 goals. You could tell he was laboring all season, was not beating goalies from distance, and that is kind of his marquee, right? Like, Austin isn't the best goal scorer because he has an incredible one-timer, or because he stands in front of the net and banks in rebounds, or because he is able to tip pucks, or because he has incredible hands, right? Like, we know all of that contributes to it, but a lot of other players can do those things. The one thing that a ton of other players in the league cannot do is shoot the puck like he can. And that is what's encouraging for me. I've seen it once this year against Detroit. It didn't go in. It hit the post. It's very early. But I just think the offense is going to go through him this year, and that's going to do wonders for his confidence and for his scoring. I think if he got 45, that's a disappointment. I think anything less than 50 is a disappointment.
Yeah,
really
fair
do.
enough. I mean, he is paid to score. I think that last contract that he got, I'm sure a big argument from Judd Moldaver and his camp, Austin's, that is, were the 69 goals that he scored in that one season. So yes, he is paid to score, and I agree with you. 45, I was kind of setting the bar pretty low there. I think for sure he's got to get at least 50. Definitely. Yeah. All right. I like it.
We interrupt this podcast to tell you about one of our favorite partners, Sign Up Expert. If you're a sports bettor, whether brand new, casual, or hardcore, listen very carefully because this ad is for you. Guys, line shopping for the best odds matters, and that's why any profitable sports bettor needs to be using multiple sports books to maximize their profits. Thankfully, there has never been a better time to get signed up, and we are here to connect you with the best promotions industry-wide. When you use our link at signupexpert.com/boysinthebooth, you can get access to all of the top sportsbooks in your region, along with a review of each platform and its unique benefits. Most importantly, All of these sportsbooks have valuable sign-up offers for new users, and when you register through our link, you will automatically receive the top offer at each one, allowing you to start line shopping with an enhanced bankroll. Guys, it's simple. When you use multiple sportsbooks, you ensure that you can always access the best available odds, which is key to successful and profitable sports betting. So, if you want to take advantage of these incredible benefits and support our brand at the same time, please consider signing up for your next sportsbook through our link in the description below, signupexpert.com/boysinthebooth. If you're planning on signing up for a new sportsbook anyways, you might as well use our link and support the boys. So, one more time, that's signupexpert.com/boysinthebooth.
Okay. Bold prediction. I had kind of a tough one, or a tough time with this one. I'm not going with a Sabres one at this point in time. I'll go with one that maybe you and Case and our listeners wouldn't really expect. As you know, I really like the Anaheim Ducks going into this season. They're kind of a sexy pick to make the playoffs for the first time in a while. Good young core, and a big part of that is Jackson Lacombe, who got that big ticket, of course, came to, the surprise of pretty much everybody. But man, he's a good player, and I think unless you watch Anaheim, you don't realize how good this guy is. And you look at the comments that his new teammate Chris Kreider just made recently, saying I don't even think Jackson himself knows how good he is, and he's like Werenski elite, he said, which was pretty interesting. So my bold prediction is that Jackson Lacombe will get some Norris Trophy love this season. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Not saying he's going to outright win the Norris Trophy, but could I see him in the top 5, kind of right around it after the big boys, of course, and Anaheim is close to being in a playoff spot. Yeah. And he is certainly paid to carry the mail in terms of that blue line for this team. And another thing I'll say too about the contract is, it wasn't necessarily a surprise that he got that deal. And again, this is Elliot Friedman talking. It was a surprise that he got that deal out of Pat Verbeek, who is a really tough guy to please and a really old school guy. But that really says a lot about what Verbeek thinks of Lacombe. And so I think this is a guy who is really starting to make a name for himself after the breakout year he had last year. And I think if Anaheim is going to be close to being a playoff team, I think Lacombe's name could be in there for some Norris Trophy love as well. So that's my bold prediction. Jackson Lacombe takes another step forward after getting that massive contract in Anaheim. Anaheim takes a step forward like a lot of us expect, and Lacombe gets some Norris Trophy love this season.
That is certainly a bold prediction, given how this guy only sort of burst on the scene a couple years ago. But after that big ticket, he's certainly paid to at least be in the conversation, and he's an up-and-coming player, just 24 years old. So I could see it. A lot of the time, too, team performance has a lot to do with individual awards.
Yeah.
If this team makes the playoffs and he's a large part of that, he gets even a couple Hart votes, right? Most important to his team. I wish the Hart worked more like that. It's supposed to. It doesn't necessarily. If that were the case, I feel like Kaprizov would win it every year, or maybe David Pastrnak, or guys like that. I mean, of course, McDavid is the most important to his team too, but I feel like there should be a different award for just far and away the best player in the league every year. Because it usually just goes to the Art Ross guy. But anyway, that's a whole tangent that I can go on for a while about. But Yeah, I don't mind it. It's certainly a bold prediction according to the odds makers. Do you want to know who has equal odds to win the trophy? I just looked it up right now to win the Norris Trophy.
Well, Makar and Hughes.
No,
right?
I was talking equal odds. So
Okay.
Jackson Lacombe is plus 30,000 to win the Norris right now.
Yeah.
He's tied with Erik Karlsson, who's done it before, and Moritz Seider.
Okay.
So a couple of good names in there, but above Lacombe is obviously Makar, Quinn Hughes, Werenski, Fox, Dahlin at number 5, Lane Hudson at number 6, Bouchard, Yossi, Luke Hughes, Victor Hedman, Heiskanen, Harley, Morrissey, Sanderson, Theodore, Slavin, Dobson, Faber, McAvoy, Dunn, and then tied with Seider and Erik Karlsson.
Yeah. Hey, that's the whole point of this, right? It's a bold prediction, and it is bold with a capital B, but I like this player, and I think a lot of people around the league and in hockey circles are really starting to notice this guy.
100%. And I listened to Matthew Knies' interview on Spit and Chicklets. I don't know if you caught that one.
No.
I hadn't listened to that podcast in years, and one of my buddies said, you have to check out this interview. It was really good. And it was, like active players don't typically do long form interviews. Like it was about an hour long.
Right.
Anyway, long story short, Matthew Knies, who obviously has emerged as a really good player in Toronto and just signed a new ticket last year, played with Jackson Lacombe at University of Minnesota and was just raving about Lacombe on the podcast, saying, how good this guy is, how smooth and fluid, like just a type of player that you would want on your team, no matter who you are. So high praise, certainly, of Lacombe. Yep. He has, like we said, kind of burst onto the scene and is really starting to make a name for himself. I don't know what the production line would have to be, like what the stat line would have to look like for him to start getting Norris Trophy votes. You'd think at least 60 points. That would be a significant step up from what he had last season. He had 43 and 75, and the year before that he had 17 points in 71 games. So I think the production would have to go crazy. That means Anaheim is going to have to be really, really good. But yeah, he's a great defenseman, and Anaheim is trending up. So there is an outside chance that he could get some love, as you mentioned. You're not saying he's going to win it, but could get some love for the Norris Trophy. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah. And it seems like year to year, we kind of have that one guy who is in the mix as sort of a dark horse pick, whether it was Noah Dobson a couple of years ago, or this is going back even further to his time in Arizona, but like Jacob Chychrun finished 8th in Norris voting one year. So kind of reminds me of that. It seems like we have one guy each year that kind of puts themselves in the conversation. And that's all I'm saying about Lacombe. Again, not saying he's going to outright win it, because that's very hard, especially with guys like Makar and Hughes, and the list goes on. But I think if Anaheim's going to be a good team, he's a big part of that, and I could see him getting some love for it this year.
Yeah. Who I think is going to be sneaky good this year in the Norris Trophy conversation? Pains me to say it. Lane Hudson.
Oh, yeah.
I really think, you watch him play, and sure, he gets muscled off the puck on the end boards, but then when he has the puck, you can't touch him. Like he skates like the wind. He skates sideways, he walks the line, as good as a lot of other D-men in the league, and he's just 21. So yeah, I think he could get a lot of love this year.
Oh, certainly. Yes, definitely. And that won't be this won't be the only time we'll be saying that when it comes to him. That's for sure.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
All right. You had a couple of honorable mentions for bold predictions. Let's go into those quick before we wrap here.
This podcast is sponsored by SeatGeek, the absolute best ticket app out there. SeatGeek takes the confusion out of buying tickets, making it quick and easy to get the best deals to tickets at your favorite sporting event. SeatGeek does this awesome thing where they score each ticket out of 10 based on its value, so you know whether you're getting a good or a bad deal. Last time I got tickets to see the Devils play, I first saw red tickets. I waited it out, monitored the price in-app, and once I saw green, I pulled the trigger. SeatGeek makes it that easy. And here's the best part. SeatGeek has completely hooked us up. Boys in the Booth listeners get $20 off their first purchase on SeatGeek with the promo code BOYSINTHEBOOTH in all caps. Click the link in our description to download the app, and remember to get your discounted tickets using the code BOYSINTHEBOOth in all caps. Get great seats for a fraction of the cost with SeatGeek.
Yes. Okay. So the first honorable mention, going to be veering away from the Maple Leafs, but then I'm going to come back for my final one to the Leafs. Next bold prediction, kind of an honorable mention, is Demko gets Vezina votes, similar to your prediction about Lacombe getting some love for the Norris. I think Demko gets some love for the Vezina. I didn't go with this for a bold prediction because I think it is very, very bold, only because he has not been healthy, over the past couple seasons, and that has been a big barrier for him and the Vancouver Canucks. But he's presumably healthy this year. He's played 2 games. He has stopped 4.4 more goals than expected. So he's second in the league right now in that. And I know it's just 2 games in, but he's been incredible so far through just 2. He's looked really good. Before he was injured, we have to remember that he was a top 5 goalie in the league. Like, he was a legitimate 60 plus game starter, and those don't grow on trees. So if he can get back to that form, I think there is certainly a scenario in which he gets legit Vezina votes, like where he could finish top 5 or top 10. But it depends on too many things, and that's why I didn't go with it. It depends on his health, depends on how good Vancouver is this year, and I don't remember where we put them in the Pacific, but I feel like we had them maybe outside the playoffs or maybe just kind of on the cusp. So, yeah, it worried me a little too much to go with it. But what do you think about Demko potentially getting some Vezina votes this year?
Yeah, I mean, Vancouver could certainly be a playoff team. I think we did have them outside of the mix in the Pacific, but if they're going to get back into the playoffs this year, and this is a big season for that team, Demko is going to need to be a big part of it. And I don't see this team scoring a ton, so they're going to have to, I see this team with a lot of low scoring games if they're going to win, defending well. And we talked about their blue line. It should be better. And then getting saves from Demko. And again, man, goaltending it's voodoo. You don't know what you're going to get from one year to the next. Could Demko certainly get back to that elite level? Yeah. Why not? He certainly could. So I like it.
Yeah. Now, selfishly, I kind of hope it doesn't happen because I have Kevin Lankinen in fantasy, and I want him to start as many games as possible. And, seemingly Vancouver trusts Lankinen as well. So it might be more of a tandem situation, and that would obviously take a lot of starts away from Thatcher Demko. And to win the Vezina, I think you have to play more than 60 games. Like, we've seen so many goalies who they lead the league in save percentage and have an incredible goal saved above expected, but they only played, 30, 40 games, and they don't get a sniff at the Vezina. Think last year or the year before with Anthony Stolarz, had some of the best numbers in the NHL. And this is just the first example that came to mind, obviously, as a Leafs fan, but only played, 35 games last year and even fewer the year before. So when you don't play, you don't get a sniff at the Vezina. So we'll see. I mean, that's why it's a bold prediction. It's a soft one. Like, it's very, I've couched it in a lot of, there are a lot of qualifiers on this one, but I could see it. And anyway, so then the next one, the very last honorable mention here, Harper, and we're going to wrap up the show. We've talked about him actually quite a bit this episode, and it goes back to the Leafs. It's that Matthew Knies will make the U.S. Olympic team. What do you think?
I like it. I really do. I'm a big fan of Matthew Knies, as you know, and he might be my favorite Toronto Maple Leaf out of all of them. I love the guy, and he's a terrific player, and gosh, that contract just looks like a bargain already. But I like this one. Like I could say the same thing about Alex Tuck, potentially making Team USA, but I like this one because this, to me, has some Seth Jarvis Team Canada Four Nations flavor to it.
100%.
We didn't see Jarvis making the team, but boy, oh boy, the more you watch Carolina, like he is a star there. Like he is one of the straws that stirs that drink in Carolina. And Knies is going to have to...
Did you watch the Face Off new series on Amazon with Seth
No,
Jarvis?
not yet. No, not yet.
Okay, well, you probably know, though, that Jarvis got cut from the World Junior team and then goes out and makes the Four Nations team and is poised to snag a spot on the Olympic team, too. So it's crazy, man. Like, guys like this kind of come out of nowhere. And another thing, too, is Matthew Knies was already an Olympian. Like you obviously know this. A lot of people probably don't, though. He was an Olympian for Team USA in the 2022 Winter Olympics. He played 4 games. He had 2 points, and he would have been 19 at that point. So yeah, he has experience.
Yeah, and that was in Sochi, right?
That was in Sochi.
Yeah.
So he has experience being an Olympian. Probably the only one on this team that has that experience. I don't think anybody else was there. Maybe a guy like Brock Faber, potentially. I forget who all was on that US team. But the point is, you look at the roster, man, and there are some guys like a Chris Kreider. Maybe he's not there this year. A Brock Nelson, who knows, right? Like a Vinny Trocheck, who is injured now. So there's a few spots. I'm not saying any of those players are bad. I'm just saying I think Knies has a legit chance to make the U.S. Olympic team. He has the experience, and he has a big there's a big bonus here. There's something that makes him maybe favored over another player. It's that he rides shotgun with Austin Matthews, similar to Chris Kunitz and Sidney Crosby in the Olympics years ago for Canada. So there's built-in chemistry there. So who knows? I think there's a good chance that Knies gets a really good look to play on Team USA at the Olympics in 2026.
No, I like it. And ultimately, when picking these teams, you have to go with guys who are playing well, who are going well, and not necessarily picking guys for what they've done in the past. And so guys like Nelson and Kreider and Trocheck, those guys kind of fall into that mix. But Knies is certainly in that next group of guys who, have a chance to make this team. So I like it.
Yeah, that's right. And brings a bit of a different element too than maybe some of the other players do. Like brings that physical, like heavy forechecking element, being just 22, but 6'3", about 230, just beef. The guy's all neck if you see him, and it's not a long neck, it's a wide one. So I think he has a legit shot. But as we wrap up, Harp, any other honorable mentions here for bold predictions or
can't think of any at this time?
Hart Trophy winner or something like that?
No, can't think of any others at this time. It's early, man. It's fun to do these, and for whatever reason, the Lacombe one was the one I decided to go with. But hey, that's all a part of it. So
yeah, you don't want to be on record this early with an unresearched take saying that whoever it is, Brady Tkachuk is going to win the MVP or something.
Well, I'm already getting hammered by our good buddy Mark there, who's a big Bruins fan, saying that the Bruins, who the heck's going to score, and they've been scoring. They're 3-0 out of the gate, and so
it's early.
Anyway,
who cares? It
is early. It is early. Yeah, Fraser Minton with a nice OT winner, by the way.
Yeah, I
in
missed
that
that
game
guy.
against Chicago.
Missed that guy, but
Yeah.
no complaints about Brendan Carlo. So
God, no. No, absolutely not.
yeah.
Alrighty. Well, Chad, good stuff. Great to chat with you. Missed Case for this one, but he's got his Thanksgiving going on still. And so, again, hope that everyone out there had a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. NHL season is off and running. Thank you so much for keeping us locked on wherever you get your podcasts and on social media as well. This has been episode 250 of Boys in the Booth. We will chat with you again soon.